So I tried to find out what the Haarp status was. There's actually a solar storm in process, so there's no readings. But the last time I covered it on Monday, basically the entire Midwest and Great Plains area was being Haarp. Severe blue is basically nothing, black, and it was yellow right before orange and red. So it was moderate, but it was a huge area that was being harped, and it was this area. And the chemtrail forecast is pretty big as far as the spraying, the amount of spraying that's being reported around the country. This is the chemtrail forecast system that the weatherspace.com is putting out, and this was this morning. Before it was over here, but this morning up here, real in the northeast, a little bit in the south, a little bit in the west. You can see as it gets harsher, the spraying in the south of Louisiana, Alabama, even Florida region. These aerosols moving into the east coast, and by tonight, the Midwest, people in the Midwest, Northwest, Texas area will be fine, and even out into the Northeast, but that whole Panhandle area and Western Nevada, California will be saturated. And you can see evening, early night, overnight, that these aerosols that they're most likely spraying offshore of the Atlantic Ocean on the west coast is going to just seep in there like a chemical haze, right? They're going to keep spraying probably coming off this coast here as well. You could see the big blanket just really building up. So day 2, and I guess that would be, what, Thursday? Right here you just have a huge aerosol. So by Thursday, by Friday, you're going to see this, right? Another storm chance. And they're saying thunderstorms for this area. Severe weather Midwest threat looms. Parts of the Midwest are about to deal with a multi-day episode of strong to potential severe thunderstorms, something most of the country's not seen much of lately. September brought only 1/6 of the average number of tornadoes nationwide. So pretty funny, right? Because this is the same area that was being harped. And of course they spray, and ominous, magically they get their storm. I like this article. NASA map illustrates air pollution mortality rates. Oh, it's actually going down in the Panhandle as they're spraying them with aerosols in South America. Really bad in China, Europe, and India. But it says here, you want to know where people are most likely to die prematurely due to air pollution. They say where it is. So it makes you feel good that you live in the United States or wherever else, Australia. But the reality is that Australia is getting heavily sprayed. The United States is. Europe's getting heavily sprayed. So I guess if you're in Europe, man, that's bad news. Because you're getting sprayed. You got all this smog or whatever, air pollution. You got all kinds of immigrants, non-Europeans being imported into our country. It's just so they're really under attack from all fronts. This is my website, like I mentioned before, because this is part 5 for Wednesday, October 2nd, 2013. For GGN, Global Government News, ggnonline.net is my website if you are new, and DDarko2012, DDarko2013 are my YouTube channels on YouTube. I do accept donations, and they are appreciated through usually PayPal right now. I don't have like a Bitcoin thing set up or anything else like that, but I understand people are hurting, and they've been hurting for a while now, so enjoy these videos. I don't expect anything as far as mass viewership or mass fame or mass wealth, but I do hope that slowly we're able to chip away at the system that we're living under right now. Jellyfish forced nuclear plant shut down in Sweden. Says it wasn't a tsunami, but it had the same effect. A huge cluster of jellyfish have forced one of the world's largest nuclear reactors to shut down, a phenomenon that marine biologists say could become more common. Well, why? Because of global warming, right? Because they keep spraying aerosols, and they're heating up the ionosphere. They're raising the global temperatures. So it says here that this nuclear plant in Sweden had to scramble reactor number 3 on Sunday after tons of jellyfish clogged the pipes that bring cool water into the plant's turbines. It says here last year, a California-based facility had to shut its reactor after globs of sea kelp, I guess, a gelatinous jellyfish-like organism. So So this is what happens when they spray and they raise temperatures and stuff, I think, personally, but it could be something else. The cave's so huge, it has its own weather system. Explorers discover a lost world with thick clouds and fog trapped inside. So I find this article pretty interesting here. It looks like it's lit up and stuff, but it says the cave system was discovered in the Chaquin province of China by a team of cavers and photographers. It had previously been used by nitrate miners, but had not been properly explored. The network, which includes a cloud ladder hall measuring around 51,000 meters square, has water sources and vegetation on the floor. And I remember listening to this one video about underground bases and aliens or reptilian. I hate using that word because the word doesn't match what it is, which is if these beings live inside the earth and we're here first, then they're not necessarily aliens, right? So, but I heard that they have these cave systems, sophisticated cave systems, and they're aware when you stumble upon them, and they're usually marked either with a dragon or five white stars. Basically, there's different groups, I guess, but either way, who knows? But if I were these people, I wouldn't want to be stumbling upon in this area as well, being that the video that I watched was saying that China has one of the biggest underground caverns of civilizations that are going on. One of the things I remember was saying that they had their own climate system underground. That's what they said, their own climate system. So whether this is just a regular article, they're putting it out there for people to, maybe in the future they're going to come out with this stuff. But they said they had their own lighting system because they need light, which is ironic because they kind of have to live underground. All right, moving on here. Russian scientists report asteroid near miss. So I'm getting into conspiracy realm here, obviously, but this isn't a conspiracy. It says here the asteroid, 15 meters, approximately 50 feet, similar to the one exploded above Russia in February, was detected hours before it nearly missed the Earth over the weekend. Scientists originally thought that it could be a man-made object, such as a spent rocket booster, but rejected the idea when they couldn't find a match in the space junk catalog. So are these things being hurled at us, or are they just flying by? China testing new space weapons. They conducted satellite captures in space as part of a Star Wars military program. The Pentagon said it was a significant step forward for Beijing's space warfare program. One official described the satellite-grabbing spacecraft, which has a mechanical arm, says here, as a mobile satellite launch vehicle. So this is all within the same day or two. Along with this, NASA putting out Cassini finds plastic on Saturn moon, or polypropene or something like that to make plastic on Saturn. But Russian military, space troops not yet ready to fight aliens. So despite being called Russia's space troops, they are not ready to deal with invasions by aliens from outer space, according to the statement by the Russian defense official. So they're not the only ones. I think the U.S. and the government has actually talked about this scenario as well. It was apparently a serious journalistic question, and as I said, so far we are not capable of that. We are unfortunately not ready to fight extraterrestrial civilizations. Our center was not tasked with it. There are too many problems on Earth and near it. Interesting. So the Russian space troops were launched in 2011. So integration of different branches responsible for anti-missile defense, strategic anti-aircraft warfare, and control of outer space. While they may not as yet be able to deal with an alien attack, Russian space troops at least have extremely effective and high-tech means for dealing with terrestrial issues and threats, and you'd be rest assured the U.S. does too. They have similar technology such as Haarp, laser beams, tractor beams type technology, all kinds of fun stuff that you see in television and stuff that supposedly doesn't exist. 4 tons of radioactive water has been spilled in the accident at Fukushima nuclear plant. They actually said, they admitted this. The operator of the Fukushima plant said that workers had spilled 4 tons of radioactive water, likely contaminating the soil and possibly the groundwater. He said on Tuesday, followed by 9 hours ago, popular fast food chain to grow food 60 miles from Fukushima plant. There's Yoshinowa Holdings, which sells guidon, or stewed beef over rice, has formed a joint venture with local farmers who grow onions, cabbage, and rice for use in outlets across the country. Again, in Japan, new robot picks ripe strawberries while farmers sleep. So see, it's like technocracy. Oh, technology is going to make you live better, right? You're going to be able to work less hours, more vacations. Well, ask Americans how technology is working. Actually, technology is being used to enslave Americans and distract them while they're becoming obsolete, right? Like, basically like the Twilight Zone, they're becoming obsolete. So, a robot that picks ripe strawberries while farmers sleep has been unveiled with claims it could cut workloads by 2/3. So, if they don't need you anymore, they're going to get rid of you. It says here it picks a piece of fruit every 8 seconds by using 3 cameras to determine which strawberries are ready to pick. A mechanized arm that then darts out to snip each one free and places it into a basket. It's a 2-meter robot, moves on rails between rows of strawberries, which in Japan are usually grown in elevated greenhouses. But it's not new, right? September 23rd, 2013, the UAE says Japanese technology giant grows strawberries in Dubai, so they're already growing strawberries, or at least they hope to. Alien electronics giant Sharp hopes to turn around its fortunes by growing strawberries indoors in Dubai. But this is not new. This is from July 2013, but I've covered this for the last couple of years. Farms of the future will run on robots and drones. There's actually an article, you can type it in, called Robots on the Farm or something like that. They'll replace workers. You know, it's like basically the minute that farmers started taking on tractors and combines and all that stuff to replace workers, the workers were left without work. Of course, they went to the cities to work on in the factories. Well, now they're no longer needed in the factories. So these are a lot of people that are jobless, that are still hanging around, and you can be rest assured that these farmers will then themselves become obsolete. Sheriff Joe Arpaio institutes cost-saving vegetarian meals for inmates. So if you get sent to jail in Maricopa County, you'll be experiencing some serious life changes. One of those who eat meat, including going vegetarian. So what is this? What is this really about? About Agenda 21 and regular civilians being told by the elites who have their own organic livestock and vegetables that you need to eat a vegetarian diet because it's healthier to eat insects and stuff while they live in a different planet or a different world, basically. But they're going to take that model, if it works in that president, and do it to everybody else. About 40% of all food in the United States is thrown in the garbage. This is coming from an alternative news website. A good, usually, economic collapse, but they say they're buying this, right? I don't. I say that a lot of the food that's wasted is by corporations, right? McDonald's, all of these places that throw out food, and they can't give it to anybody because for liability reasons so they don't get sued. But they're going to blame the average person, right? The average American. Then I found this from the same day. Gallup poll. More Americans are struggling to afford food. So 20% of who reported in August that they have at times lacked enough money to buy the food they needed for their families during the past years, up 17% from 17.7% in June. It says here, and it's the highest percentage record since October 2011. It says those who struggle to afford food now is close to the 20.4% mark, measured in 2008. As far as preventing any kind of dissent, right, or detachment or, quote, revolution by the people, they just keep them entertained with technology, keep them enslaved, monitor them, and give them a bunch of crap food, right? Because most of them can't afford organics. But you give them crap food, keep their stomachs full, and that's how they're rolling right now, while at the same time making them sick. So when you do get sick and you try to go to alternative medicine like marijuana or whatever, terminal cancer patient in Iowa, entire family faced drug charges over his medical marijuana use. And I've heard of people doing this personally, and you got to be careful because they'll come after you. They just want you to die and they want you to pay for treatment. That'll just make it worse. Like this, researchers are saying urban cities are safer than rural towns. Well, ask Chicago, and Chicago passes New York City as their murder capital. They want to get them into mega cities, but they also want a rural population, not for farming, but for cannon fodder. That's right. In Switzerland, right, the place where they control the gold and the world's economies, are holding exercises, simulating an invasion by France. But they got to protect the bankers, right? They said here, Swiss transportation infrastructure is rigged to blow in an event of invasion. Mystery parachuters dressed in black land in lower Manhattan. What's up with that? 3 a.m. near the Goldman Sachs building. This is all during the government shutdown charade. Let's look at 2 Marine generals fired You have Marine Corps whistleblower faces vengeance from superiors. Then you have a commanding officer of the Navy fired. Oil prices fall mid shutdown. So yeah, the dollar, the petrodollar sinks to a new low. Thank you.